Hello, young friends. How are you? I hope you are staying happy at your home. Study well. So, all the best. Friends, this is welcome to Biju Guys Teaching Cafe. As I am usually telling you, friends, this is a short video lecture on the theme interest articulation. For the last couple of YouTube video lectures, we are all the way discussing the various aspects related to behavior revolution in political science and the subsequent system models. So this lecture is part of the series. The title, interest articulation. So friends, you imagine following the COVID-19 pandemic, education system was undergoing tremendous and profound changes. Right, I hope you remember. You understand? You were all supposed to attend classes online. You were all supposed to recharge your mobile and download Google Meet or Zoom or other web streaming platforms from your Android app or Apple market and attend online classes. So, but one problem is that we don't have uninterrupted internet access. Am I right? Do you have uninterrupted internet access? And we don't have the digital technology infrastructure to access online classes. Some of you might not have, mobile or laptop, and sitting in front of a mobile phone attending online classes for long hours, it's very difficult, and you need a laptop, but laptop is costly or desktop is costly. So it's also very difficult because access to digital technology infrastructure is not, fairly distributed in our society. And not only that, access to mobile technology is not fairly distributed in our society. Access to internet is not fairly distributed in our society. Not all of you are able to access internet in the same way, right? Not all of you are able to access digital technology in the same way. Not all of you are able to access laptop or internet connectivity the same way. So there are problems. Then what shall we do, friends? In our society, what shall we do? Friends, the solution is called interest articulation. That is what we are going to discuss now. Interest articulation. You find out people sharing the same problem. So you talk to people among your group, who among you who don't have a mobile, who among you don't have access to internet, who among you don't have laptop or other kinds of digital technology infrastructure by which you access online classes on Google Meet or Zoom or other kinds of learning web streaming platform. So form an association, right, with people who share solidarity and the ability to bargain as a group, right? So in a plural democratic society, you can influence government through group activity. That's called interest articulation in political science lexicon. So it is otherwise called lobbying in political science or political science literatures. It is otherwise called lobbying, but in technical terminology it is called interest articulation. So in every political system, be it democracy or other kinds of non-democratic systems, and particularly in pluralist social political systems, citizens claim the fulfillment of their demands or materialization of interest by various means. Okay. So, but the problem is that there is a big gap between the citizens' demand towards the system as well the system's ability to fulfill your demands. There is a big gap. Right. So, demand must be placed. Your aspirations must be placed. Your interest must be placed before a competent authority for their realization. should be articulated in a very systematic way. Demand must pass through proper channels, that you sit at your home and simply talk to your wife about your problems. Nothing will come to your home, because talking to people in your home will not bring you anything. If you want to bring something in your society, you should talk to the competent authority. That's why I told you, you should articulate your interest through the right to the proper channel. So demand must pass through the proper channel. So we find both the articulation of demands and the placement is very important in every political system. You have to place your demands in the right channel. You have to place your demand in the right or proper medium. Thereby it reaches to whom it should reach. So you have to place it in a way that easily get the attention of competent authority. You have seen that people posting problems on Facebook, YouTube live video, and even sending mass petition campaigns to offices of rulers and other authority, public authority. So Gabriel Almond, we have been discussing Gabriel Almond for the last couple of YouTube lectures. Gabriel Almond comes to know that the interest articulation is a complicated and a broad concept in political literature. So many people argue, many agencies are involved in these kinds of articulation of your interest in the society. So Almond, our friend Gabriel Almond, who proposed, as you already know, structural functional analysis in political science, has pointed out 4 such agencies which articulate interest in the society in a very systematic way, and it gets the attention of competing authority, that is political system. And he says there are 4 such agencies which articulate interest in a political system. He identified them as, first one, the institutional interest groups, the non-associational interest groups, genomic interest groups, and finally the 4th point, associational interest groups. So let us examine one by one. What is institutional interest groups? So Gabriel Almond says institutional interest groups generally consist of legislature, executive, bureaucracies, etc. So these institutional interest groups articulate the interest of their own in various ways, and they exert pressure upon the authority for the realization of the interest of people they represent. So legislature of your society represent the interest of the people. So whose interest legislature represent? Of course, it represent the will of the people. So executive represent the will of the people. Bureaucracy represent the will of the people concerned. Right? So the institutional interest group is formally organized group and consists of professional personals. That is, it will be consisted of people who are selected from the who is who of the concerned sections in the society. If it is legislature, it will be lawmakers who are selected from amongst the people by a definite recruitment process. In democracy, it is called general election. So, particularly, bureaucracy in various ways, caters or creates pressure upon the authority for the fulfillment of their demands, and the authority is forced to act accordingly. This is called institutional interest groups. Then there is a second kind of interest articulation in a political system, according to Gabriel Almond, that is non-associational interest groups. Friends, man by nature is a social animal, right? Once Plato said that in his famous book, Republic. So people form associations or groups out of their sociable character. You have sociable character, right? So non-associational groups are formed on the basis of different grounds, such as you can see that you are a person with a disability, so you form an association of disabled persons, right? Or you are a person of color, so you people who are person of color try to find out people with the same interest, that they belong to people of color, and form an association of people of color, right? In the same way, you can see you are a part of some religion, some ethnic groups or family, or a particular language, or a particular caste groups or a community, and you have an affinity, you have a solidarity with that identity. You have people, several people who come together with the same identity, with the same affinity towards some particular object, and that affinity that is being developed among people of same religion or ethnic groups or a kinship form an association society, right? Of course, you are more likely to form such associations in your social world. So the members of non-associational groups, of course, always complain about their non-delegation, their non-representation in the legislature or in the executive or in other structures of power in the society, and they are dissatisfied. Right? You see, there are problems in the Kashmir area, there are problems in the northeast area. People are dissatisfied with the system, so they find other people who share the solidarity. So there are people in India who are not connected by railroad, or there are people in India who are not connected by road networks. There are people in India who are still yet to be connected by internet access. There are people in India who are yet to be connected by mobile technology. So they can also form their own, what is called associations. That is solidarity. So they form non-association interest groups. So the members of the non-association interest groups, always make it clear that their non-representation to legislature or the non-fulfillment of their legitimate demands must be addressed at the earliest by competent authority, that is the political system, according to Gabriel Almond. So the presence of non-associational interest groups is very common. It's very common in developing societies. It's not a feature in developed societies, because there people never form associations on the basis of primordial loyalties like caste loyalty, like religious loyalty, like ethnic loyalty. So it's a feature of developing societies where these societies are not that much an open society or matured societies. So people find pleasure in finding solidarity with their color, their other kinds of primordial loyalties, or premodern loyalties. So it has been found that these groups or subgroups fight together against competent authority in a political system, and they fight for the political consideration of their legitimate demands by the authority of the political system, and they always force to comply. They force their competent authority to comply with their legitimate demands. This is what non-association interest groups, according to Gabriel Almond. Friends, there is an anomic interest groups, a third one. What is that? In almost all political systems, riots or militant demonstrations frequently occur that erupts like volcanic eruptions. You see, you walk through the road, suddenly some mass mobilization takes place. You don't know why. These kinds of things can be noticed in our society. Suddenly, some group of people assembled somewhere where we were just walking through, and we have seen that people, creating pandemonium in the street, creating, some kinds of disturbance in the street, and they have some kinds of demands, and they feel that their demands are not being rightly represented in the political system, and they are marching towards the offices of the authority, right? And these are led by men. Economic interest groups means economic interests are articulated by men who want to snatch away few privileges from the political system. Right. So these groups are called economic interest groups. They suddenly pop up in the society. They suddenly shape up in the society. All of a sudden, we don't know how and why they come up in the society and pressurize the political system. These groups have no permanent structure or organization. They don't have greater visibility. They suddenly pop up in the society on certain important political or social economic issues. They spontaneously form agitation or lead demonstrations sympathizing their role in the society. Gabriel Almond, our friend, said that the economic groups, besides articulating interest, also perform adjudication function, rule application function, such as to free the prisoners in the jail, and they also perform the function of communication, which means communicating the news to various economic interest groups, various other economic interest groups. So these types of groups are somewhat, system breakers. Right. And friends, there is a fourth group of, interest articulators in a political system, according to your friend Gabriel Almond. That is called association interest groups. The first one, institutional interest groups. Second, non-association interest groups. And third, economic interest groups. And the fourth and final one, the associational interest groups. So, associational interest groups are formed by trade unions, businessmen, industrialists, or professional groups and persons. Professional groups and persons. The articulation of interest by such groups is quite prominent in all political systems. You have teachers association, you have students associations, you have pensioners association, you have doctors association, lawyers collective, engineers collective. So many collectives in the society. They are all pressure groups that pressurize the political system to fulfill their demands. So trade union articulation of interest by such groups is quite common in a political system. So trade union scatters pressure upon the industries or authority in support of their demands, and if necessary launch agitation. Trade union agitations are best example of social interest groups. This form of technique to articulate interest is not only common but also very effective, because this is one of the best way to articulate interest in the society. So in democratic countries, the right to form association is an important right, and workers and professional groups are taking this opportunity to agitate for the realization of their demands. Right. In the opinion of Gabriel Almond, the performance of interest articulation function may be manifest or latent. That is, interest articulation may be manifest or latent. It's a types of interest articulation. Manifest and interest articulation or latent interest articulation, a specific interest articulation or diffuse interest articulation. There is other types, general articulation or particular interest articulation. There are instrumental or affective style of interest articulation. These are some deeper analysis, but going into the detail of these types of interest articulation do not fall in the purview of this lecture. That's why I'm not going to mention, but you may go to Google and refer what are these types of manifest or latent, specific or diffuse, general or particular, instrumental or affective style of interest articulation. But anyway, friends, in every political system, if you want to survive, lobbying or interest articulation is very important. If you keep silence, nothing will happen in the society. Your silence is in a way is showing that you are a political apathy. Your too much activism is also irresponsible, because that will break the system. You should have a moderate style of political interest articulation. That's very important for the survival of your political system. So you should never keep neutrality in times of crisis. Those who keep neutrality will be sent to hell. You remember Dante's famous saying, those who kept neutrality in the time of national crisis will be offered heaven, says Dante. Right. So friends, have a powerful mechanism for interest articulation. That is what very important for the survival of your political system. I am going to end up this lecture, friends. I hope you got some spark in your mind. Having said that, all the best, friends. See you. Bye. Thank you for listening to the lecture. Bye.